Good evening, hello, welcome to the TriathlonDan YouTube channel. Welcome to another day of triathlon training. Welcome to my bike in the kitchen. Oh, but Liz is outside, so it's okay, she won't notice. Better lighting. Heading out on the club ride shortly. Camera front, camera rear. You're in for a treat. If you want to see me in pain, getting dropped, stick around. I'm going to take you along for the club ride tonight. So it's about 28 to 30 miles in length, about 3,000 feet of climbing. I think it's 4 or 5. Quite short and sharp climb, so it's going to be full gas. In terms of training, I should be doing a VO2 max workout this evening, so this will pretty much tick the box for that. I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to go with the fast group. I'm hoping it'll hit home that I need to pull my finger out and do some more hard training and drop some weight. But I'm really looking forward to getting out with the club. So yeah, let's get cracking. I will see you there. And I'll do a little voiceover of the ride from tonight. I imagine I'll have an excuse or two. Okay, let's jump right into it then. So club ride, I have survived, here I am, let's go. Nice little descent to start with. First few miles, tranquilo, just nice and easy chatting, finding out what everybody's been up to during lockdown. Not a lot as it turns out, just riding bikes and that. So yeah, plenty of bike riding to be done. Here we go then, let's go. I think we've come up to the first hill now, yep, here we go. Just trying to figure out what on earth to do with this wahoo, what page to put it on. There we go, that'll do. So I've got power on the top. And then on the left is heart rate, on the right is gradient, and then below that is speed that you now can't see because I've angled the camera up a little bit more so you can actually see up the road. So 430 odd watts, that's quite a lot. Heart rate 162. My maximum heart rate on the bike is about 170-ish, maybe 172, something like that. So I'm pretty near the red line. As you see, it's about 8%. I'm pushing pretty hard. 450 watts for me is about 5-minute PB power. Obviously, I can't really hit PB 5-minute power whilst you're on a ride and you're already working hard, but I'm giving it a go apparently. So as you can see, as it ramps up to about 8%, I'm just losing ground to those in front of me. Even though I'm doing, nearly 450 watts, a lot more 500 watts as the case may be, I'm still not making any ground upon them, and that's just power to weight. I'm not moaning about it, that is just a simple fact, isn't it? Power to weight uphill really matters. But you know what? My performance tonight, I'm actually pretty happy with. I thought I'd be a lot worse than I was, so 170 beats a minute, I was absolutely blowing here. As you can see, the roads are typical Derbyshire lanes, potholes, tight, twisty, brick walls, excellent, lovely scenery. Yeah, looks good. Avoiding the potholes as we go. So it doesn't look very steep. That's about 10%. So that's fairly decent. Definitely little ring material. Yeah. So we've got Paul's wheel I'm on now. Interestingly, Paul doesn't ride with power. He rides to cadence. And I think he wears a heart rate monitor occasionally, but other than that, he just rides to enjoy it. So it's always good to get dropped by somebody who doesn't actually care how much force to put through the pedals. That's nice. I think that was it for that first climb. Yeah. On to the next one then. Here we go. What's this one like? I can't remember. It's all a blur. So you can see it's ramping up here, so I'm bracing myself for it kicking off a little bit. I think it's only a short, sharp climb. So here, I'm out of the saddle, I'm throwing the bike around a bit, up to 470 watts, 500 watts. And just look at that, James going past me, Brent coming flying past me. Brent's birthday today. I won't share his age with you, but he's closer to 60 than he is 50, and he just absolutely dispatched me on a hill like that when I was doing 500 watts. So just goes to show, doesn't it? Years of training really works out. But I'll stay sat on Paul's wheel. That's nice enough for me. Look at that view. Next, here we go. Carrying a bit of momentum into this climb. I'm flicking through the screens, what I'm trying to look at is basically how long the climb is, so I know how hard to go, because it's a ticking time bomb, isn't it? You go hard, what if it's a 5-minute climb and you've gone at like 2-minute power? There's not a great deal you can do. Here we go, Brent again flying past me. I'm thinking, yeah, here we go, I'll give it a go. I'll try and get on his wheel, 650 watts. Doesn't last very long, but he sits up there. He's obviously just trying to get alongside Paul. He wasn't trying to go past him, otherwise I'm sure he would have done. Yeah, it's not too steep though, what, 11%, 12%? It's fairly steep actually, isn't it? 12%. That's quite bad actually. I find myself I'm able to sit it between 350 and 400 watts for a few minutes at least. It's only when it gets to like 450, 500 that I seem to really deplete myself quickly. Now this hill, I know it gets steeper because at the bottom a couple of the blokes were saying, oh, this one's steep, and these lads who ride in the peaks every week, if they're telling you a climb is steep, it is steep. So I was just waiting for them to all come past me. I didn't want to go too hard too soon. So see, I'm going 450 watts. That's probably a bit harder than I should have done. I didn't know how long this climb was. Turns out it was pretty long. But you can see, yeah, these lads are just creeping past me. They're not absolutely dropping me. But for me to try and now jump on their wheel, I'd have to lift that, what, 20, 30 watts perhaps? And I just don't have that extra in the tank. It's just through carrying the extra weight that really makes a difference there. Ben flying past me, well, he rode excellently tonight. I'm out the saddle doing 530 watts and I'm still not closing that gap. I'm not losing loads and loads of distance, but I'm not making any ground up, am I? So if I had any intentions of making ground up, then I needed to think outside the box, and I think that's what I was trying to do on this corner. I was, banking on the fact that these guys were going to shout if there was a car coming down, so I was like coming over as far as I could just to shorten that distance a bit on the climb, thinking, well, if I can save a metre, then I'll save a metre. But then unfortunately a car does come down, so I have to come out and join the rest of the group on the correct side of the road. 15%, 16%, that is pretty savage. I'm pretty glad Liz didn't come out on the route tonight, because I told her it was okay, there's nothing too steep, and she doesn't do anything above about 12% or so. And that would have all been my fault. So yeah, I mean, at those sorts of gradients, I'm pretty much on my max heart rate. It's just a case of survival. Like, I'm in first gear, there's no pacing really involved. I'm just trying to keep moving. There's not really much you can do other than just hope that it eases off soon, because there's no way I can hold that for very long at all. There we go. So as you can see, just losing a bit of ground. It's only a handful of meters at first, but it just extends and extends. Now the gradient has leveled off to 10 or 11%, but that's still a significant climb, isn't it? Power to weight is still a massive factor here. So you see here, what's that, 15 meters, 20 meters, and it is just growing and growing. There's just nothing I can do to do that. As I said, I'm still able to hold about 400 watts. That's still a decent amount of power. And on a shallower climb, that might have been enough to hang onto the wheel, especially if there was, drafting was a thing. But those sorts of gradients, I need to put more power out here. I think this is later on in the same climb, so you can just see that they've just pulled further and further away, and that's not a huge amount of distance to close. Well, it is though, isn't it? Basically, if you're in a race and you go over the top of a hill with that sort of gap, you're not getting back on. So that's the nooks and crannies of it, isn't it? So I'm here, I'm feeling it here. But again, still able to hold about 400 watts, but this is hurting. I've been close to my max heart rate for a few minutes now. I think this was like a 6 or 7 minute climb, so it went on for some time. But yeah, big effort. Here we go, another climb again, flicking through the Wahoo pages. First thing I'm trying to see is how long does this go on for? Please tell me that it doesn't go on for very long. And then that dictates how hard I go up it. So this one can't be a very long one, or I hope it isn't, because I'm doing like 500 watts. There we go, thanks James for making me look absolutely brilliant, doing 500 watts and flying past me. And I did take the mess out of him at the beginning for not wearing any leg warmers, but he showed me, didn't he? So yeah, 550 watts. I'm trying to kick on, just trying to hold on to his wheel, thinking if we go to the top of this hill, I need to be on his wheel so I can recover better. No, not quite. But then on this bit here, I find that I am able to close them down a bit. Being a bigger rider, when I drop down to 300 watts, 320 watts, that's like hard tempo for me, so I can back off to a hard tempo, and he's probably doing 200, 250, because he's a lighter rider. His tempo will be lower than that, so I'm able to close that gap, whereas the lighter riders can't. So swings and roundabouts. This climb now, you'll see, is nowhere near as steep, so it's about 3.5%. So I'm doing 400 watts-ish. My heart rate is still pretty high, and this is still pretty hard, but I distinctly remember this being not as hard as the steeper climbs, just because you're moving at a bit of a quicker pace as well. I don't know what speed we were doing, but I think we were in the big rings, so probably 15, 20 miles an hour at least. And drafting's more of a thing, so that the people at the front are going to be going harder than I am. It's easier to sit on the wheels. And at that sort of power, it's not like I'm digging into the anaerobic tank too much. 4 or 5 blokes in front of me, able to sit in the draft quite well. It's quite motivating sitting on people's wheels as well on climbs, knowing that you've just got to hold that wheel. I'm not really looking at power too much. I'm keeping it in mind, but I'm just knowing that I need to close this wheel. And here, I've actually got a bit of a kick in me to close the gap. And then I realised while the gaps were opening, that's because there's a junction up ahead. So I might as well have saved that bit of gas for later on, but there you go. Here we go. Kiss, kiss, bang, bang. Carry a bit of momentum through. Let's go. See you later, lads. Thanks for coming. I think that's the one time that happened tonight. Just carried a bit of speed from the back of the group through. Classic Zwift rider. And just carry that speed. I'll pretend Ben wasn't there at the front, but yeah, I enjoyed that. Unfortunately, there was nowhere near the KOM. I think this is the last climb, the last steep one. Yeah, about 15%. Again, I'm kicking on that. Now as I get further through the ride, I'm more confident to press on harder. Whereas at the beginning of the ride, I was thinking, oh, okay, how little power can I put out to stay in touch with the group? Actually, now you're thinking, okay, can I give it a nudge up here? Because, well, we're 5 miles from home now. Yeah, why wouldn't I? So I'm actually really confident that I had a couple of kicks in me there. So there we go. Cheers. Thanks for coming. Kick over the top of the climbing. And then we're there. So yeah, I'll put the stats on screen now from the whole ride. I think I did, for 2 hours, 320 watts normalised power. Now that doesn't mean that I've done 320 watts for 2 hours. when you've got short punchy climbs like that, that does bring your normalised power up a little bit more, I'm finding, just because of the harshness of the climbs. But definitely good vibes on the ride tonight. I felt fueled, felt full of energy. Just need to shift some timber. Hope the numbers stay there or thereabouts. Work on the short-term power, short-time power, and go from there. But yeah, real good club ride. That's the first club ride that I've been on this year, like in the group that I would normally ride with. So really, really good to get out with the group. There are 2 or 3 people missing from the group tonight who would probably have been putting me through the ringer a bit more. However, still a great bunch of guys. Awesome to get out. If you're in the Alfreton, South Normanton area and you want to get out with a cycling club, I can highly recommend South Normanton Cycling Club. Don't look at this video and think, oh, you have to do 1,000,000 watts. I can't ride with those. There are several different groups, and this is only the hard bits from the ride. There's quite a lot of chatting and normal riding in between these climbs, so please don't be put off by that. If you're on Facebook or on Instagram, etc. So yeah, feel free to drop an inbox and join up. I'll see you soon. So that was it for today's video. I hope you've enjoyed that. I certainly enjoyed getting out. As I got back, it just getting dark, so hopefully next week it'll be a little bit lighter, and the week after that a little bit lighter. Thanks very much for watching. Haven't already, hit the like button down below. It helps other people discover the channel, and I'll see you tomorrow at 4 p.m. for, I think I'm doing a run session, a run interval session. Yeah, see you there.